any producer I perceived as more successful than me was my enemy, because I wasn't focused on the right things like networking or learning to make better beats, which I should have been because of that, because of my lack of focus. I had time to be negative. Peace, what's going down? It's the Music Entrepreneur Club podcast, episode 112, powered by BeatStars. We're live twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays on beatstars.live with our free music business mentorship program. There's no reason not to join. There's no except in the case of you not being available at those times for the free lives, in which case you can still participate by viewing them as archived episodes and interacting in the comments section.
Or if you think we're full of shit and you don't value what we do, that's another reason to not tune in, which is totally your opinion and up to you. But it's some of the feedback we get sometimes, but it's all good. I'm not tripping.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that a little, just a little, not a lot. I don't know if this is the right time to do it. I tweeted. And I was actually surprised I see you smirking, Dame. I don't know what's coming next.
I just didn't know we were going in this direction, but
I didn't know we were going in this direction either. I introduced the episode and you're like, oh yeah, by the way, you might hate us and think we're trash and want us to.
Well, I was trying to give another reason of why you might not tune into us, because you gave one and I was like, oh, there's actually another one. But I'm curious where this is going. What did you see on social media?
I posted on social media because, probably not every artist goes through this. I think a lot of artists go through this period of negativity when their careers aren't going the way that they want them to. And so I think it's easy to fall into that. Do you know what I'm saying, Dame? It looked like you might.
And it's going to happen not just one time. Like, you're probably going to go through that like dozens of times. Like, you're going to feel really good about the week, thinking that things are starting to move. Then you're going to hit a wall and everything's going to seem like it's going all bad. Then you're going to see a glimpse of hope. Then it's going to go all bad. Like, you really have to be prepared for the ups and downs and stay even keeled and not let your highs get you too high, your lows get you too low, because it's going to, it happens. I have great weeks and bad weeks where I think I'm on top of everything. And then the next week, I feel like I'm under everything and everything is overwhelming, or I'm not getting the responses that I want. It's hard for me to still kind of stay balanced, but that's just the way this is.
Yeah. And I think it's just easy to embrace that negativity to the point where you allow it to just influence your behavior and kind of let those emotions inform your actions. And it's to the point where, unfortunately, I'm seeing glimpses of, not even glimpses, patterns of offense at positivity. And I don't think I'm one of these super smiley, saccharine, overly positive people. I think I'm pretty realistic. I just happen to embrace positive thinking, and I happen to want to focus more on better outcomes than worse outcomes. If I don't know the future, why assume everything's going to go wrong? I'd say just start there at a basic level. And especially with what we're doing, our business is, like you said, it's volatile a lot of the times. It's lonely, it's isolating a lot of the times. That takes a lot of faith. That takes a lot of inner courage. It takes a lot of inner peace. Otherwise, horrible things can happen. I think quitting is the least of anyone's worries. If you get to the point where you're just so miserable and you're tortured, you may as well just have a job that you hate, because at least you're making money that way.
Or a job, or find a job that you love.
Or a job that you love.
A lot of jobs out there. There's a lot of ways to make money in this world at this point. If you hate every single one of them, I don't know.
Well, my point is, this should be more fun than it is to a lot of people, and I understand why positivity is actually offensive to some people. I think it's a little crazy. But I feel like I'm more or less on the other side now, where I used to be the guy that would go out of my way to leave negative comments on other people's content, whether it's a producer, whether it's a rapper. I'm talking about, over a decade ago. This was a long time ago. But yes, I will sometimes reply to someone if someone messages me and says, "Yo, Payne, you're a bitch, you're ugly, this and that." I'll say something sarcastic back, and then everyone's like, "Oh my god, why would you do that? You're a bully." Shut up. But as far as really seeking out negative interactions, that takes a lot of time and a lot of energy, and I see it happening a lot. You see the same names coming up, where it's like, this guy's always coming for someone in the comment section. This guy's always leaving negative comments. You see this repetition, and I remember my state of mind back then, which was basically any producer I perceived as more successful than me was my enemy, because I wasn't focused on the right things like networking or learning to make better beats, which I should have been because of my lack of focus. I had time to be negative. And I was also really inexperienced then, obviously, so I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. I think a lot of the people who are inexperienced and who feel like they're not getting the opportunities that they think they deserve, they're the source of, the Illuminati rumors. This person's only successful because they slept with Quincy Jones. This person's only successful because they sacrificed a family member. Of course, those are very easy ways for them to explain away why they haven't succeeded yet. And that takes so much energy. It's just as easy to learn how to make better beats than it is to spend an hour going on other people's content saying, "You're wrong, you're trash, your beats are weak, your kick isn't mixed very well, you're this, you're that." Yeah, in the meantime, somebody who is less talented than you is watching a drum programming tutorial, or they're watching a TubeBuddy tutorial, and now suddenly, after this day that you spent being negative and that day that they spent learning and seeking information, they come out more successful in the long run. And then even now, there are producers who leave negative comments on YouTube, I've seen, as a marketing tool because they think it'll bring them clicks. And I'm seeing that start to emerge with certain profiles, where if I'll listen to a peer's beat on one of their channels, I'll say, "Oh, this is the same. This comment is familiar," because they copied and pasted the same negative comment on my channel and on two other people's channels. And it doesn't work. It gets people's attention in the sense that it might rile them up, but why would I check for a producer who just told me my beats were trash? Anybody who's out there spreading negativity, I would say at least, once or twice, just to satisfy your curiosity, click on their channel or click on their profile or something. Look at how well their posts are doing. They're not doing well, or Google them and see, what their presence is like. Are they playing shows? Do they have fans? Are people saying positive things about them? Are they getting publicity? No, they're not. No. They feel like they're more worthy of success than they are, but they're not working on it. They're just spreading negativity, which I think, I understand why they're angry and confused. They feel like they're being overlooked, and so they're in fight or flight mode, and they're choosing to fight people who have nothing to do with their lack of success.
So if you were to talk, 10 years ago to Hater Payne, how would you suggest that he carve up his time to use it productively? Let's just say 10, 12-hour day. How would you have preferred to carve out your time percentage-wise? What would you have been doing?
I would really just put myself on a schedule to educate myself. I think what happens first is inner dialogue. So when I was there, and I was becoming more of an adult, like I was getting older, and I guess I didn't have to, because a lot of adults don't do this, but for me, in all parts of my life, whether it came to personal relationships, whether it came to physical health, whatever it was, I had to have a conversation with myself, even if I didn't want to, and it had to be an honest conversation. So with regard to this topic, I had to look at myself and say, why am I so negative? And I think a lot of people, and I experience this too, rather than ask themselves, why am I so negative? They'll ask, why are these other people making me so negative? So there's no accountability. And that's why this becomes a really difficult task for people, because a lot of us aren't in the habit of accountability. A lot of us aren't in the habit of being honest with ourselves. A lot of us aren't in the habit of confronting negative aspects of ourselves. But it's worth it in ways that outnumber, music career success. It's just, I'm not saying this from a place of negativity. I know a lot of people will say, well, we're always pointing out what's wrong with the business and we don't offer any solutions. I've been posting tutorials. I have days worth of videos that range from music business tutorials to interviews with people who explain how they went from working a 9 to 5 to producing for the biggest artists on the planet. I don't think it's a valid criticism for either of us, especially given that our bi-weekly interactive music business mentorship program is free and open to the public, and all our content is free. We're not selling courses. We're not selling access to the archives, none of that. But I am pointing this out because I feel like I've gone through that transition. I've been incredibly negative as a person, was not doing well, and started getting out of that habit, because thoughts are habits. I think what really drove me to even consider this and consider my own relationship with negativity was I posted what I thought was, and I think both of us experiences where we post something that we think is a really positive, happy, uplifting post, and then someone's mad at it. And I'm like, damn, where did that come from? Why? And it was, I posted a tweet on Facebook, that what a social media mess of a sentence that was. And I quote, what I said was, positivity is magnetic. And I feel like that's kind of common sense, but it's just something that we can remind ourselves, because happy people don't want to be around miserable people, the same way a person who's healthy doesn't want to be around someone who has the flu. And I thought it was positive, and this started an argument. And the comment I got, from someone was, is honesty negativity? And it's like, well, that's kind of non sequitorial. That's not really what I'm saying. I'm trying to encourage people to be positive, and you're kind of sidetracking it. But my response was, well, yeah, it can be, and obviously, honesty can be negative. If you're walking down the street and you see someone with messed up teeth, honestly, they have messed up teeth. You need to stop them and be like, hey, man, your teeth are all fucked up. You don't need to say that, because they can't do anything about it at that point. They're probably aware of it. So yes, you're honest, but you went out of your way to be negative. If someone makes you a breakfast and you don't like eggs, but you like everything else they make, which includes bread and bacon and greens and orange juice, and they say, how did you like the breakfast? And rather than just saying, yeah, thank you, I really enjoyed what I ate, you said, I can't stand these eggs, man. Why the fuck would you make me eggs? That's an honest thing to say, but it's also a negative thing to say, and it's an unnecessary thing to say, and they're probably not going to make you breakfast ever again. So yes, honesty can be negative. It absolutely can be. And I think a lot of us are out here spreading negativity under the guise of, well, I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest when I go on someone's YouTube channel and tell them they look like a bitch. I'm just being honest when I tell somebody that their beats are trash and that they should kill themselves. Yeah, that's not, that part of being an adult is, and part of growing is impulse control. That's another topic. But the point was, this started an argument, and the final response from this commenter was lying to an artist, blah, blah, blah. If they're trash and they use your beat, that's bad. Am I right? And it's just like, why do you want to be right about this? that's another thing. Not everything has to result in you being right, and not everything has to be an argument that you win. A lot of it can just be ideas, whatever. Okay, this topic's not for me. I disagree. It's not personal. I'm going to walk away from it, and I'm going to refocus my energy on something else. I'm tired of arguing this stuff. I'm just here to share my experience with negative energy. You know what I mean? And as much as I don't like it, I do have to keep into perspective that at one point I was the guy doing all the arguing. And at that point, my life on a personal level, on a creative level, and on a professional level was trash. And my attitude reflected that. So when all that stuff comes around full circle, and I got the people on my YouTube that consistently dislike my videos, or the people on Twitter that disagree with everything I say just on general principle because I'm saying it, I'd be lying if I said I liked it or I embraced it. You know, some people are like, I love my haters. Like, no, they're annoying. But I get it. I understand, because I understand where they were or where they are now, because I was there and I get it. So I don't know if me saying that helps anybody. If it does, great. If it doesn't, at least you know that those of you who are receptive to the content that we create, if you find yourself in that position, and this is something that Illmind spoke on a lot, it's hard to be understanding. It's hard to put other people's feelings and perspectives to take that into account when they're the ones attacking you, but it can help. It can help you not get dragged down into that negativity with them, because you acknowledge what they're feeling. You acknowledge that they're angry and negative, and you put into perspective that they're going through something that you're not, and then you're grateful that you're not going through what they're going through, and it just becomes this more positive and healthy reaction to stuff that is negative and stuff that is offensive, because the internet's full of it, and the music business is full of it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, I don't really worry about, I have fun with folks here and there. I got like a 2 or 3 response maximum to folks, but I don't, I don't, I don't really get down in the weeds. I can't really say that I was ever that person. But I think that's good advice, because I think that a lot of artists see other people at least appearing successful, and that might put you in a negative space. And maybe that's a helpful way to deal with it. But yeah. And then once you start building your community, hopefully your community reinforces your values, and like your community takes care of some of the negative people that try to break from the norms of what typically happens in your community. So if there is a hater that's posting, a lot of times other people will respond and take care of that person. I'm glad you're not a hater anymore, Payne. Thanks, that's amazing. So what I wanted to talk about today was, I saw Tory Lanez post that he made $1 million from selling his most recent album. I think it's an album in the form of an NFT. The way I understand it is they were $1. He sold 1 million copies at $1. And I think you were able to purchase up to 100 copies. So he said he sold out all of the 1 million copies in 57 seconds. What's your reaction to that, Payne? Do you think that's truthful? Do you think that's awesome? Like, what's your reaction to that story?
What surprises me is that when did NFTs become eligible for sales equivalents?
Well, I don't think it's like officially. I think in his, just because he's saying that he sold 1 million copies, that's traditionally, the metric used to go platinum. I don't think they're certifying this as a platinum record. I don't think so. I'm not sure. Typically, the industry doesn't evolve as fast as the tech does. So I don't know how the industry is looking at NFT sales yet. I don't think that's a thing yet.
Okay, then I'm blaming the media for this, because the article I read on Wrap Up said Tory Lanez has gone platinum in under a minute, which is what I think they do, and I apologize to wrap up if what they're saying is in fact verified.
Well, I could be wrong. I mean, maybe they are already counting NFT sales. I don't think so. I haven't heard of it, but maybe they are counting NFT sales as a sale. But if you put a whole album at $1, yeah, I don't know. I just don't think they are, but I can't say it with 100% certainty because they may be moving. They may be keeping up with technology now. I just don't know. But that's besides the point. I mean, just in terms of, the news that he was able to make $1 million, we're just going to assume that it's true and he's not lying. People are making a lot of money selling NFTs. This would be probably the most successful one that I've heard of in the rap genre, because most of the big NFT sales that I've seen, from artists like Blau and other artists, they've been more in, I don't know what you call it, dance, or like just different. It's not hip hop. Hip hop is not killing the NFT space. Matter of fact, a lot of the hip hop cats that have tried to get into NFTs, I think, have made the wrong approach, and they just looked at it as a come up, and a lot of their drops have fell flat on their face. So I think Jay-Z tried to do something. I think Lupe tried to do something. Like, none of them were as successful as Tory Lanez says that his was. And I think that, the difference is that I think his was $1. And then he capped the number of NFTs you can buy at 100. And when I saw his Instagram post talking about it, he said, I'm not just excited for me, I'm excited for you, because you guys can now sell the albums at a higher price. And I want to talk about that too, because just in general, for people that don't know, you can sell an NFT and attach a commission to it, so that when people resell the NFTs in the future, like say somebody buys your NFT for $10, and then you rise in popularity and they're able to resell that NFT for $100, you're still going to get a commission for that sale for as long as it continues to sell. And you set that commission. So if it's 10% and somebody resells your NFT for $100, then you just made another $10. So that's another really dope aspect to NFTs. If your brand continues to grow in popularity and your NFTs rise in value, you can continue to make money for the rest of your life, through commissions, as long as it continues to sell. I don't even know if we should be talking about Tory Lanez, because I don't know. I mean, so all that drama surrounded him, that's the weirdest thing in the world to me, because it's like, if you shot somebody, I feel like you would be in jail. Anybody else would be. I know he has money, but it's just been so weird to have one side saying, hey, you shot me in my foot, the other person saying, no, I didn't shoot you, nobody's in jail, and it just lingers. It's just like was it a PR stunt? Anyway, let's not go down that path. Let's go back to the NFT.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, Dave. He did this. He's independent right now, or he's DIY?
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't think the labels would have ever allowed this to happen. I think we can probably agree on that. Not in this way. I mean, they can $1. I think the fact that he's DIY means that he can do things like that. I don't think his fan base ever left. So yeah, and then also the investment factor. People are buying up crypto. People are buying up NFTs because there is this narrative that they make pretty fast money. And so I was contacted by someone who was telling me, I didn't even know about it until they sent me an email. It was someone who's a subscriber, and they were telling me that they invested.
A subscriber to what?
To my email list. And they were telling me that because I always have conversations, they were telling me about their investment in the Tory Lanez NFT and how they plan on treating it as an investment and then making a profit from it. So he must have capped total sales at $1 million then, right? Or
right. So he limited it to 1 million sales, each $1 each.
Yeah.
But the only reason that I'm hesitant Well, I mean, I, don't, I guess I could believe it. I just haven't seen any hip hop artists be this successful, and I haven't really seen any hip hop artists really take the time to educate their fans on what an NFT is, how to buy them, why to buy them. You know, we're currently, when we do put out 1 week notice, we plan to have an NFT attached to it. But like, I'm currently like working with people in the NFT space in the crypto world to just better understand like how to introduce it, how to tell the story, what should the pricing be, because we haven't really seen, again, many people in hip hop be successful, because I think they just look at it as a come up rather than really trying to understand the crypto space, appreciate the crypto space, and be an authentic part of it. So there's a lot of
Yeah,
different
I don't
things going
understand.
on.
Well,
Yeah.
here's another question then. Did somebody, how obviously this was DIY, it wasn't affiliated with the label, but was there an NFT, what's the minting company or something that was involved in this rollout as well, where they may have invested or I think that's likely, right?
I don't know. Like, yeah, I mean, it's likely because there are a lot of agencies popping up that are helping artists, and they're basically serving as the distributor in a sense, because they take a percentage of the NFT sale. So
Yeah.
in terms of teaching you and getting your music minted on one of these platforms, there are different agencies popping. I mean, we're working with one. So yeah, and for me, it's just a little weird too, because like it just came out of nowhere. Like, typically you have to kind of set these drops up and promote them, and maybe I just missed it. I don't follow Tory Lanez, so maybe he was promoting it. Maybe he was educating his fans on what he's doing, why he's doing it, how much it costs, and there was like a big buildup to the drop. But typically, that's what you see for successful drops. And I didn't even know he was making an NFT for sale. Like, it just hit the news once he said he sold 1 million copies. Um, I think a lot of the NFT buzz has definitely, like, earlier this year, there was a lot of talk about NFTs. A lot of people just kind of flying out the windows with their predictions. There was even a cat on Twitter that told me NFTs were going to replace managers. Now, how that's going to happen, I have no idea. But like, people were really riding high and like
Yeah,
flying
I
out the
was
window.
seeing a lot of that talk too, and I can see how they thought that, but that's based on their own misunderstandings of what managers do. They think managers are basically just accountants who protect IP, and that's not what managers are.
Yeah. So, and I think the NFTs are important to understand, and they're here to stay. And I think that there's going to be a lot of artists that can make a lot of money and have it be a big part of their business. Um, but I think we need to dial back, at least for now, the expectations of what NFTs can do for the music industry, because they're definitely not replacing managers. That's a weird thing to say, and kind of exposes your. And what's funny is, I did a little research on the cat that said it. It's like, a cat that said it is like somebody that is pretty well established and does well in the music industry. So I don't
Mm.
know if he just
They
had
must hate their manager.
they must have had too much coffee that morning or something. I don't know. But anyway, overall, I think it's a good thing, and I hope that this drop is real, and he's not making things up. But I don't know about the reset. Like, I don't know, like, is Tory Lanez going to continue to like increase in popularity, increase in value, so that you could resell a Tory Lanez NFT? I mean, it's
It's
a
a full
bet, I guess.
album, right?
Yeah, I think
So
so. I think it's a full album.
so here's the thing. If these are being resold, he's a part of the deal, right? So even if half of the people who bought the album decide to resell and say, okay, we're going to resell it for $4, not even a big margin. Tory Lanez is getting paid again for that. He's probably getting another dollar plus when they sell it for $4, right?
Yeah, if you can't, like, I don't. I mean, maybe it happens. I'm I don't know. I think you'd have to have, you know, here's the thing. Like, if it comes out that Tory Lanez was telling the truth all along and he didn't shoot Meg, um, I think that he would get another wave of just ridiculous amounts of support. And maybe that makes the album increase in value because there's only a million. I say only, that's a lot, but there's a million of
Yeah.
them. So maybe people do. And then the other thing that, I'm not an expert in the crypto world, but I don't know how you can sell things for it. I thought there was like gas associated with, so basically fees associated with minting an NFT. And I thought you had to pay fees when you purchase something too, but maybe it's just a mint. That's something that I got to do my own read. I should know this by now.
Yeah, the gas fees and all that stuff. That's what's confusing me about it. My point is that's why I said maybe there's some kind of minting agency involved in it. Because I've gotten contacted by NFT people who are just trying to promote awareness, but also promote their own services. And they're willing to pay for that. And so with, Tory, like this is like, as you said, this is the first time we've seen this kind of thing happen. This is the first time I think we've seen an artist encourage the reselling of their album. I think it's also the first time we've seen albums priced this low. This is kind of the opposite of the Nipsey Hussle approach, but also very much in the same entrepreneurial spirit. So given that the price point was so low that the appeal of crypto and NFTs is at kind of a fever pitch right now, and the fact that this is a novel concept, very well could have attracted maybe not 1 million people to buy, but maybe 500,000 people to buy. And some of those 500,000 were investors, and they each bought 100 copies each, because even if they resell at a $2 profit, they still made a fair amount more than what they paid.
I mean, it's a cheap bet, if you, especially if you're a Tory Lanez fan, or just, maybe even if you're just a crypto fan or an investor and you're looking for, penny stocks, essentially.
Well, yeah, but what better way to promote an NFT service to an entirely new demographic than roll out a unprecedented success of a NFT album launch that no one's ever seen before. I mean, I think that the goal and the danger is that a bunch of artists see this and say, "Oh, I can do that." And it's like, no, you can't do that. Not everyone can do that. Your next album should probably just go on Spotify and not on an NFT at $1 a piece, because you may actually end up losing money on that. And I think with everything, we can learn from everything. I mean, remember when Beyonce started doing the surprise albums, and people were like, "I'm going to drop a surprise album." It's like, yeah, but if you only have 500 to 1,000 fans, this is probably not something that you should do. Not saying that.
Well, it's something. I mean, I think NFTs should be explored because
I'm saying learn from it, but don't do. You're not going to replicate the results.
There's a lot of different strategies for NFTs. I mean, we've had, even a cat like Panther Modern that we had on the MEC. Like, he doesn't have that many fans, but he's developed an approach, and he's minting NFTs and creating art, and he's been very successful with it. But he told me the same thing I've heard a million times before. Is like, you have to be like, at least appear to be an authentic person that's an authentic part of that community, or trying to be an authentic part of the crypto community. And I think you can be embraced. There's a lot of crypto investors that have been in super early that have a shitload of money and are looking to support artists, but they want to support the artists that either, one, have like a huge big name like Steve Aoki or somebody like that, or up and coming artists that really appreciate the crypto space, that are pushing, possibly a bigger agenda with crypto and its role in the world. Because that's what they care about as well, is just, the rise of crypto and the importance. They have when I say agenda, it's not like an evil Illuminati thing. It's just, they believe crypto is going to have a positive impact in this world, and they're trying to get more people to learn and adopt cryptocurrencies. So that's another reason, like, they're just kind of pushing, pushing the way they think about money and things like that. Just pushing that messaging.
Yeah, and that's valid. We all want to promote, I guess, growth for everyone in our careers. Like, both of us want rappers and songwriters to succeed, even though we're not rappers and songwriters, because they're a part of the economy in which we work. So it makes sense.
Yeah. The last thing I wanted to quickly mention, because I know as I made another post, because we had Connor Lawrence from one of the co-founders of IndieFi on, and we were talking about Spotify again and Spotify rates, and just about that metric that Spotify put out, that I think that there's 13,000 plus artists that are making 50,000 or more on their platform. And some people scoffed at that, be like, well, one, it's not, $50,000 isn't anything. And then two, that's not pure profit. I understand that. On the flip side, what I need people to know is that's just from Spotify, right? So you have money coming in from Apple Music and all the other streaming platforms. In addition to that, that doesn't include the publishing income, right? So I would imagine that there's, a decent amount of publishing, especially if an artist is able to get some sync placements. So we're not talking about the publishing side. So you need to add that back. Then I'm assuming if you can do 50,000 on Spotify, then I'm assuming you have fans that would want to see you at shows or buy your merchandise. So if you're doing that, you need to add that on top of it. And if you're recording features for people, you need to add that feature money on top of it. So, and then if you're doing YouTube, if you're making money on YouTube. So basically my assumption is if you can do $50,000 alone on Spotify, you should be grossing over six figures with all of your income streams combined, and it could be a healthy six figures. So to the people that are kind of poo-pooing or just scoffing at, making $50,000 on Spotify, that artist is probably making six figures plus, when you include all of the different revenue streams that are open and available to artists these days. So, I think that's pretty healthy. So having 13,000 plus artists that are making probably, hundreds of thousands of dollars, I think that's pretty impressive, when you look at it in its totality.
Well, and hopefully these are unsigned artists, so they're getting the majority of that.
I mean, I'm sure it's I think that metric was a combination, but there are a lot of different revenue streams these days. Yeah. And, hopefully, I mean, we just talked about NFTs. I didn't even include that in the possible mix. There's a tons of different revenue streams. Running an independent music business is hard because of all of the different revenue streams. It's, how do you build your foundation to make sure that you're capturing and maximizing all of these different revenue streams? There's a lot of moving parts. Yeah. To an independent music business.
But there are nice ways to, I mean, if your distributor is distributing to all platforms, and it should be, you're covered there. If you have an admin situation, like, now BeatStars admin is open to the public. So you have an publishing admin situation, you're collecting pretty much everything else. You sign up for Sound Exchange. These days, there are services that will make it easier for you to collect. The issue is, do you have money out there to be collected on? But I think, I think it's naive to think that making $50,000 or generating $50,000 on a single streaming platform is your your net for the year. And one, say it is. Say an artist is only making 50,000 a year. That's, I mean, how many people will enter into any job market making 50,000 starting salary? So I'd say, and off of music by yourself, I'd say that's a really solid annual income. That's something to be celebrated, not scoffed.
And to the people that don't believe that people are making money from streaming, because there was somebody that commented, well, how come people never show their bank statements? It's like the people that are making money do not care that much if you believe them. They're not going to sit here and show you their bank statements. But what you can do, if you still don't believe people, at the end of the year, when people post their Spotify wrap ups, a lot of artists post them on social media, and it shows how many streams they got during that year. You can do your own calculation, right? You can take however millions of streams a person has, or just the number of, and then times it by, because we typically get anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000 per million streams. So basically, if somebody has 15 million streams plus, or anywhere between 10, 20 million streams, you can assume they're making at least $50,000. If you're still like, well, where are these artists at? I don't know. Like I follow a lot of artists that post their Spotify wrap ups and they're 15 million streams, 20 million streams. Those are the artists. You don't need to see their bank statements. Just do your own calculation. Hopefully you can multiply and you can see who's making that much money, because there's still so many people out here that just don't believe it. But nobody's showing you their bank statements. So
I would take that a step further and say the people who are showing you bank statements or any kind of financial statements maybe are trying to sell you something, might be deceiving you. That's definitely happened.
It's weird. It's weird as shit. Although I would like to, because I'm still curious if Tory Lanez really got this. I mean, just from what I know, like I don't really care that much. What I care about is, are NFTs a legit revenue source for artists? Yes. How do you do it? Let's talk about that. Whether Tory got 1 million, 20,000, 30,000, whatever he got, whatever he's saying he's got, like, I don't care that much. I care about, is it a legit revenue stream, and can it be part of, your revenue mix going forward? The answer is yes for a lot of artists. So let's talk about it.
You know what I think would be a revealing conversation though, with regards to the Tory Lanez album? Talk to the beat makers and the producers behind the project, and I don't know how many of them are going to be that forthcoming about it, but a lot of us in the producer community are pretty honest and straightforward, because that would, if I worked on the project and I got a pretty standard advance, for an independent project, like let's say it was 2,000, right? I'm like, okay, 2,000 times how many tracks it is. Now I'm putting together a budget in my mind. Because the question that I have is, how are all of the people that put the album together getting compensated? Because when you consider that he probably had other fees associated with marketing or minting or whatever to put this thing together. Think about recording, mixing, mastering, production, all the features, all that. Who paid for that? Because at the end of the day, capping it at 1 million sales and only charging $1 each ultimately doesn't yield that much money, given that there's no label giving you a budget, right? So
$1 million's not a lot from an NFT drop.
But that's it, because the album's not on the streaming platforms or anything.
But right? It will be.
I don't know. I can see how, if he's anticipating that, I just think there's other investment. If he's anticipating that the resale continues to just generate revenue, which I think it could, given how many people allegedly flock to purchase the album from an investment standpoint, then yeah, he could just be generating money and money and money and money indefinitely. I just wonder how that's being split up. Is every track, because I know you can share revenue on every single NFT, right? So is every single song an individual NFT? I don't know how this stuff works. So if I made a beat for one of the songs, am I getting 3% of that, 5% of that? Like what and is that only on the master side? And then when we deal with the traditional stuff like streaming and everything, we go back to the industry standards or the norms. How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, it just has to be agreed upon. I mean, I don't think there is a standard for NFTs just yet. So it just needs to be agreed upon. Hopefully prior to the release, but there are some platforms that can, automate those payments.
Yeah.
So once it's in the smart contract, embedded in the smart contract with the NFT, once things sell, it should flow through pretty easily. That's one of the benefits of NFTs and smart contracts.
Yeah, I mean, I know it can work, and I know how it can work on a really basic level, but how did it work? I'm just curious to know how it actually came together. Because this is completely new, and I'm sure this isn't going to be the last one that we see.
No, not at all. And I don't know anybody in that camp. It would be cool to talk with somebody, but I think it's, I just think going forward, it's something to educate the audience on. We've had a number of sessions about NFTs in the past 4 or 5 months. But just know that it's not a quick come up. There's a lot of education involved, and you have to really authentically embrace the community or it'll reject you, and your drop will fall flat on its face. Damn, I thought I had one more thing to say, but I forgot it. So we can wrap up.
All right. I'm sure we have a lot more to talk about next time. So stay tuned, same time, same place. And then, of course, our free music business mentorship program is continuing twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. No need to sign up. No need to even download any software. It's all going down at beatstars.live. And if you want to be alerted, just give us your number. We'll text you. What's the way they do that?
All you gotta do is text MEC to 844-206-7800 and you'll get an alert before we go live.
All right. Till next time. Peace.
Peace.